Right, hello. So I'm just going to take you through two or three short podcasts, and we're going to be looking specifically at the PS310 assignment. The idea here is that I'm going to take you through a general introductory podcast, and then I'm going to do five separate ones for the five different topic areas you could look at. I will kind of outline some of the key arguments you might want to make. I'll also outline some of the key global flows that you might want to refer to, and some of the key theory that you could use. So, more keys than a locksmith's there. So yeah, here we go. So again, just a showing you the question again. I know you've all seen it before. I know you've all seen it two or three times. Look, it's not. I guess it's not a difficult question to look at, but really what you want to do is just argue for and against the impact that the different global flows and globalization has had on one or two areas of sport, using those areas which you've outlined, positively and negatively. How can we see it to be both a good thing and at times can have more of a negative impact as well? Social theory I've put there, and I think social theory will get you the top marks if you can really bring that in, as long as it's relevant, as long as it's the appropriate one for the topic area. But focus on the quality of your arguments and make good arguments supported by literature, as opposed to trying to hit me up with too much theory. Okay, don't spend a long time describing that theory either. That's kind of some of the points I want you to do. So it's an analytical question where you should be answering both positive and negative impacts about globalization and the impact it's had on sport. So there's a general overview of the structure of the essay. And again, I know some of that's taken straight from the slides. So the globalization flows aren't going to be covered by Stuart next week. They were covered a little while ago. So really, you guys should have an understanding of that now. And again, as I said, I'm going to go through it and I'm going to relate back as we go through to today's session. The key thing is to really decide what topic you want to talk about, then go for it. Decide what topic you want to talk about, decide the arguments that you're going to make. We've covered the majority of the arguments in the lectures, and then go for it from there, really. Over the next couple of weeks, Stuart will provide a few more examples from mega events and a bit more on political ideologies, and then from there we should really have a good foundation to get going. There's plenty of reading on SimsCap to choose from, so yeah, just get stuck in. Right, I think this is probably the key thing I'm going to cover in this podcast, and I'm going to take a little bit of time on for this first video. And I think that I said this on Friday, but I think it's kind of relevant to everyone. And what I expect to see in the essay. So the first thing that I've got there is set the context and explain how sport has changed over a period of time. Now, I think that links into some of the other ones, but this is where you really want to draw the reader in. This is where you want to give them an understanding of how the sports world has changed, what the impact of globalization has been early on. So it's one or two key sentences that really unpick what sport now looks like. So for me, I might use something like from its beginnings as a rural pastime, sport has developed into a multinational business industry which generates millions of pounds of revenue based upon numerous factors. Part of this process has been the innovations in technology, media, and spectatorship over the last 2 decades. So that's just a rough example, and I know I ummed and ahed through it, but that would be a way that you could do that. You might say this is personified by the growth in the modern Olympic Games. since its beginning in 1890, oh, that's not good, is it? 1896. It has grown exponentially from this many participants from this many countries to the latest Olympics in 2012, which had this many participants from this many countries and was viewed by this many people all around the world. So that would be a really good way just to draw me in, just to set me up and go, right, yeah, I know what this is. I know why this is relevant now. For me, I always almost ask the first sentence of who cares? And I know that sounds maybe a little bit rude or whatever, but you've got to make the reader care in that first sentence before you start defining globalisation and global flows, because if they don't know why it's important or what the context of this essay is, then it's not really relevant. The next thing that you're then going to move on to is to define globalisation, and to maybe say there are varying different definitions of globalisation. Some of them include this, some of them include this. However, they all agree on these characteristics. And you might say these are underpinned by the different flows, global flows. For this assignment, I'm going to be adopting Maguire's idea of the 5 global flows, which include media, technology, economy, migrants, and ideologies. That would show me what you're doing. You might then start another paragraph, or you might just link in saying that in a globalised sporting economy, sport has been given a number of different roles and responsibilities. One of these roles has been to improve society, and this can be seen through the context of the Millennium Development Goals. The Millennium Development Goals include A, B, C, D. Okay, for the specific focus of this assignment, I'm going to focus on, and then say the 1 or 2 areas which you're going to focus on. So if you decide you're going to focus on social inequality, make it clear. If you decide you're going to talk about women and gender inequality in sport, make it clear. So yeah, that's kind of where they want to go with that. For me, you've got to make sure you reference the Millennium Development Goals. Now, I know Kidd, and I know Lavermore, and I know Coulter all use them quite a lot in their work. The other place to go, if you want to get the genuine original reference, is to go to the United Nations website and put that in as well. Okay, so you might say that one of the key roles of sport is this idea of developing a greater and better society, as exemplified through the Millennium Development Goals. And you can support that with the references of the work of people like Kidd, Lavermore, and so on, and also something straight from the United Nations website. Okay, so I don't really think there's too much more to say about that. Just don't have a whole discussion about what globalisation is. For me, that's the main don't. Don't start trying to have 400 or 500 words trying to tell me what globalisation is, because there's so many different definitions. Just agree on the key characteristics that you're looking at and define the global flows. If you go back to Stuart's lecture, there should be enough in there to give you that. Okay, and again, same with Millennium Development Goals and setting the context. Try and keep it short and succinct. If your introduction is, as I said, much more than 500 words, I'm going to start going, hang on, this is a little bit long. You're using up keywords that you could be putting into your arguments. All right, so just some thoughts there, really. So yeah, I'm sorry if I've repeated myself and haven't added anything new to the previous sections, but yeah, just some thoughts on what to do there.